Today, there was no checkpoint this week, and yet news kept happening. Rude. This is ChillPoint. Yeah.
Hi.
ChillPoint with extra, either extra surprise Graham or extra surprise Beige, depending on whether you were looking at the picture or reading the text.
Don't worry, I'll use that picture as the thumbnail so that this joke still makes sense for the YouTube pod.
Good. I'm only here for a little bit. I got to take off, but I wanted to. I had nothing else to do for the next 15, 20 minutes.
It's nice to see you.
Yeah, no, it's nice
We
to
don't
be
get to
here.
hang out as much.
I honestly miss doing this show. I'm just usually so busy doing other stuff. But yeah.
But yeah, we no checkpoint this week, but that doesn't mean there isn't stuff to talk about. In fact,
Oh boy.
I tried very hard to tell them they shouldn't make news when we're not doing stuff, but they won't listen to me.
Gamescom.
So it's Gamescom this week.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, checkpoint is kind of weird in the sense that often, like E3 or Gamescom or other conventions coming out, aren't actually like people like, oh, there's gonna be a ton of news, and it's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but most of the stuff is this game has been announced.
Yeah.
Like, it isn't like news that's interesting for checkpoint.
Not for our purposes,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. You never see Activision Blizzard come forward and be like, we're firing half our employees. Like, there's nothing...
No, usually they do that just before.
Yeah.
And then Jeff
Yeah,
Keighley has to like awkwardly make some kind of like vague platitude
been,
to our friends in the industry
It
or
would have
something.
been BioWare, I believe, that like let go of 50 of their employees.
Oh,
And some people from like the beginning, too.
Ooh. Okay.
So, but there was some stuff that happened that we can talk about, and now part of the reason why Graham wanted to be here is he has some opinions
Well,
about Sony's new Sony Portal.
yeah. So
Oh, I thought you were going to call it the other thing.
PlayStation
I was
Portal.
ready to cringe.
the
Yeah, the PSP.
I didn't realize until just before we went live. You were
The
like
new PSP.
Yeah, you were like the PSP, and I was like, oh, that is what it is, isn't it?
It's so gross.
Because you said
I hate it.
they have only called it the PlayStation Portal. So yeah, because I have a PS5 that I use like
Right.
Oh,
regularly,
fancy.
right? Which, you know.
Nice but nice.
Yeah, I bought it from the website. So Sony has announced a $200 handheld accessory called the PlayStation Portal, and it looks very much like they took a PlayStation 5 controller, broke it in half, and put a 1080p 60 hertz screen between it. It honestly looks very nice. It looks like it will be very comfortable to use. It looks like a cool thing.
You wouldn't want to travel with it.
And it's only $200. You probably wouldn't want to travel with it. I don't know. But don't worry. Because you look at it, and if your first thought about seeing it is like, oh, okay, it's the PlayStation Portal, and I see what it is, so that means I can. The answer is no, you cannot.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they thought this was a good idea. Literally, every time I was like, oh, but I can, no. But what if I, no, you can't.
Surveys have proven that 98% of all portable handheld gaming happens in the home.
Maybe because of the pandemic.
The use case is if I want to play at home running off of my PlayStation 5 without using the television, if someone else wants to use the television. That's the use case.
Yeah, you have a laptop or an iPad or...
Well, yeah. Also, yeah, you have to not have a laptop or an iPad or
No, I'm pretty sure you can
else.
still use this even if you own those devices.
Yeah.
But like all those things do this already.
Okay, so Faded Oasis is making a comparison that I've seen other people make, which is that it's a Wii U gamepad.
Yeah.
Right. But no, it's not, because the Wii U games for the Wii U were designed with the expectation that everybody who was playing a Wii U game had that gamepad, and it could be used as a second screen experience. They could put other stuff on there that they didn't need to put on the screen. This is completely extra accessory for $200 that you cannot guarantee
It
someone's
doesn't
going to
even
have.
have Bluetooth.
But a lot of
You also can't use it as a controller on your PlayStation if you're playing it on the television.
Oh, wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it doesn't have Bluetooth.
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe you can use it if you plug it in by cable. I actually don't know the
I don't
answer
know
to
that
that
I'd
one.
want to do that.
Like
I really like having wireless controllers now.
there are controllers these days that cost over $200,
Yeah.
right?
They're
So
very.
that's
They're
true.
usually pretty custom.
Can we see the picture of the thing just so that the folks can see? Like it honestly, it's like, oh yeah, okay. I get it. It looks pretty slick. It's literally apparently the thumbsticks are a little smaller. They're like the smaller thumbsticks on the PSVR controllers.
All right.
But like it looks good, and it's like I said, it's 1080p, 60 hertz refresh rate. It looks nice,
It has all, and I'm sure it
but
has
there's no point.
all sorts of utility in your house.
Can
Like,
I
it's
take the controller off and then like form it together to
No.
make? No.
No.
We've
It's
wanted
not.
magnets.
It's not a Voltron.
Everyone's always wanted the magnet controller thing that, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've never heard of that, but I want it now.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe this is just my particular whatever body configuration, but like when I have with a Switch, I don't actually find the undocked like the portable version of using the Switch. I actually find that quite uncomfortable. Just from an ergonomic standpoint. And
A number of people, yeah.
lots of people use it, and I'm fine with the normal controller, but it's just that kind of thing. I end up kind of like this, and it really bugs my wrist
You
after a
can
while.
get a controller that's like a half GameCube-esque controller, so you have kind of like more of the handle thing like they're
That's
going
cool.
for.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that'd be better.
So the other thing is that because it has no Bluetooth, it does have a 3.5 millimeter mini jack headphone jack.
Courage.
It does, yes, courage. It does have a headphone jack.
Problem is, none of us have those kind of headphones
But
anymore.
because it
we've
doesn't-
thrown them all away.
Because it doesn't have Bluetooth, you cannot use like AirPods or any other Bluetooth headphone device. The only wireless
including the like official Sony one.
that's the only one you can use. You can use the official Sony ones, and I don't understand how. I assume it somehow
they're probably going to the
routes them through the PlayStation.
yeah, go to PlayStation and then come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that would mean that you'd also have to be within distance of your PlayStation.
Alright.
Yes, that's
for
why
that
it's so
too.
stupid.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Like-
Can you even okay? Because this attaches to your PlayStation through your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
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 So why can't you not use it through the internet elsewhere?
So again, see my previous
Well,
comment at the start where it's like any question you
it's-
have of then I can.
It's
no.
it's connecting through Wi-Fi, not over the internet. Like it's
Right,
it's
'cause-
it's a direct
'cause
connection
The
here.
Vita did this with the PS4, and you could do it through the internet. Was my understanding.
Oh, they're doing
Not
the ad hoc thing.
not necessarily well.
So like
But-
the thing is like the remote play feature is honestly really good. Like I did a bunch of when we were doing my Agatha Christie Let's Play. I was recording onto the PC using remote play, right? Like I was playing on the PlayStation 4 with a controller connected
Yeah,
to my
I've seen a lot of people
computer.
just do straight up just game streaming from a PS5 without a
Yeah,
without a capture card.
Yeah, it's honestly sweet. And so this is like a remote play device, but like if you have a PlayStation controller, like if you have a PS5 controller because you have a PS5 and a phone or a tablet or a laptop or a computer, you can just do that. You can't even do their cloud streaming to it, which seems like it would be the whole point.
Yeah, that would be like
Yeah.
at least a thing then.
This Arstetic article, even more oddly, the PlayStation Portal doesn't support games streamed directly through Sony's dedicated cloud streaming subscription service, PlayStation Plus Premium.
Is that's not even a yet? Like that's not like we're looking into doing that. They're like, no, this is solely set up to talk.
They haven't
through
mentioned it.
Ad hoc Wi-Fi.
If they haven't
to your
mentioned it-
PS5.
If they haven't mentioned it in the press release that they gave everybody, then
Oh,
Yeah, they
Anim
won't
Zero
talk about
says, for clarification, the existing PS5 Pulse 3D headset is not supported, but the new Pulse Elite and Pulse Explore will work with it.
there's something about adding the word elite to gaming things that
Hate
just
that.
really.
I don't know. I don't know who this is for and why this exists.
Yeah. I feel like it's something that, like, when they were
Ghosts.
when they were designing the, like, when they were, doing all the stuff with the PS5, and they had this, and they had the like local streaming thing.
Yeah.
Like as part of that sort of presentation, it was like, and we could also make something like this, and people were like, oh, that's cool. But and then like that team went away and was like, everyone says it's cool, let's start building it. And then and now whatever 3 years later they come back and we're like, we got the thing that you said you wanted. Everyone's like, does anybody remember okaying that?
It's kind of weird in that this really has this is like not one of the first, but it's a great example of the antithesis of scope creep, right? That they made this thing and they were
Scope shrink.
It's like, we're gonna make it $200. It's gonna, and what's it gonna do? Well, we want to make this thing so that you could like walk around your house playing your PlayStation. You can go sit on the toilet and play PlayStation, and then you can that'll be great. And like, yeah, okay, cool. So let's make that. And then they made only that, and somehow they managed to keep everything constrained to the point where it's like, what's this for again? It's like, well, can we do? No, stop trying to add stuff. Just make it do the one thing on the toilet.
Gaming on the toilet.
I never thought of that.
Are people gonna want to pay $200 to game on the toilet? I think you'll find that they are.
Well, I mean, I don't want to pay $200 for this, but if Sony wants to send us one to review and they don't care what we say about that review, I'll absolutely walk around the moon base with a camera following me if you want.
100%, yeah. All right, I have to go collect a child. Hope it's mine.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
That's good. Hope
Thank-
springs eternal.
Yeah.
That's a weird paycheck.
Thank you for indulging me. Oh, and Paul was correct. We found out some new Destiny stuff about one of them shapes, and the showcase looked neat, but I have no further information at this time.
All right.
The name of the new Destiny event expansion is The Final Shape, which
That's
Graham informs me is a triangle.
imposing. Okay. Well, I mean, if you go into Flatland, triangles are actually very scary.
Yeah.
They can hurt you.
They have to like.
And they look like squares, so
have to
you
be
just...
sounding a siren at all times or something, or constantly screaming.
The lions have to constantly be screaming because you can't see them at all.
Ah, okay. Okay.
From a certain angle.
Right.
All right, what else we got going on
And they
here?
will pierce you.
Baldur's Gate 3 is somewhat popular.
Yeah.
I would call it mediumly popular.
Well, we've hit that phase where now it seems like people are criticizing everything instead of just happy that it exists. So, I guess it's there.
Yeah, it's super well. But one of the things is that it's soon, I believe, in a couple weeks, going to be coming out on PS5, but not Xbox.
Okay.
It's available on Windows, of course, but it's not current. It hasn't been slated to be coming out on Xbox, not because they're on some sort of
Exclusivity thing.
thing.
Okay.
But apparently they were having some trouble with the engineering of it. Basically,
Okay.
one of their features that they really were proud of and wanted to have and sort of a showcase thing was split screen co-op
Okay.
on one device. But obviously, to do that, you got to render the entire scene twice for split screen.
Okay.
And it turns out that the Xbox Series S, the little Xbox, could not handle that. And so they were working on seeing what they could do to optimize it and stuff. And apparently, after a meeting between the director and Phil Spencer,
Yeah.
I am super happy to confirm that after meeting with Phil Spencer yesterday, we found a solution that allows us to bring Baldur's Gate 3 to Xbox players this year. All the improvements will be there with split screen co-op on Series X. Series S will not fit. So I guess because typically feature, I think Xbox is pretty big on feature parity between
I would assume so.
things,
Yeah.
other than like
Well,
graphical
that's what
stuff.
they wanted.
Right.
That's what they wanted to do when they brought it out. The whole point was to be like, do you want to play your stuff, but essentially have a cheaper system?
Right.
And
So this is, I'm assuming this was them
stuff,
talking
not-
to, being like, look, dude, your console isn't powerful enough to run this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way we
Either-
programmed it. Yeah.
Either it doesn't come out on Xbox.
Yeah.
Or we have to do it this way.
I thought Phil Spencer was going to be like, hey, so by the way, here's how you can program better for the Xbox. There's a whole bunch of secret APIs we have that you can have to make everything run faster.
Well, the word has started to bubble up from at least from people I follow on Twitter. I know we don't talk about that site, but that's where they still are. So I still look there.
Yeah.
A bunch of people went to Gamescom recently, and this news came out, and there's also like this undercurrent of apparently devs are not particularly happy with the Series S.
Just in terms of it not being
Well,
up
because
to snuff.
they're gonna want to do stuff for the Series X,
Oh, and the
but to
existence
have
of the
to have
S.
both.
Yeah.
Right, and Microsoft has said, and Microsoft has said, the feature parity thing was kind of a big deal that they were
Yes.
marketing, basically because they wanted to make sure that, when they were selling people on the Series S, there wouldn't be like a backlash on that.
From like a rational point of view, I guess at some point they were going to have to say this, premier game, this one that pushes the X to the limit, is never going to be playable on S in the same way.
Well, but it's that thing that's kind of an interesting aspect of video games these days is like some games are graphics constrained and some games are CPU constrained, right? So the idea was that the actual main processing stuff on the S and the X was about the same.
Right.
It was just the graphics GPU hardware that was buffed up on the X.
So you would just say that it's like they are both the same game. You're just not going to get the
It's just one's 4K and one's not,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
one's
and in this
one's
case,
got,
you're not gonna get
160 frames lock.
split
one
screen
isn't.
co-op.
Sure.
Yeah,
It'll probably have online co-op.
And that's a completely different feature than anything
yeah,
else,
and so they wanted to make that, but when you have games, something like Baldur's Gate, where they can make it, it's very pretty and they're spinning a lot of things, but there's a ton of stuff that's
Yeah.
like the split screen thing. Not only are you rendering the entire scene twice, but you're doing all the
game logic.
physics calculations and game logic twice.
Yeah.
And so that's so I guess the Series S couldn't handle it. So it'd be interesting. I wonder what I guess everyone's got their own thing, but I wonder what the development pipeline is usually, like whether it's make it for the S and then make it pretty, or make it for the X and then see what you can cut.
Yeah, because usually you make a game for a specific system or PC or something, and then it gets ported,
Right.
not necessarily by the same dev team, but by a company that maybe is proficient in that kind of thing, will handle porting. But there's generally something you start with and you target.
Right. Yeah.
But in terms of like if your target is like if you were to start with the Xbox as your target.
But but in terms of like, it's not even so much a port, right? It's closer to like a low end PC versus a high end PC. Like it's just, the actual programming for the game is the same. It's just some of the special effects they have to not do. But.
If split screen co-op, so obviously the idea is like to say to people, it's like it doesn't matter which Xbox you buy, they will both have supported everything. You'll just have to you're making concessions in other ways. And to me, it's like, sure, I don't mind if when I play video games, it's like I don't mind if it momentarily drops to 25 frames a second while it's trying to catch up on what it's doing, or I don't mind if it's not all 4K all the time.
It's like I don't have a 4K TV at home, so I don't care. Yeah.
I have a 4K TV at home, and I'm playing Switch stuff on it, so it's like I definitely am not giving a shit about
hitting
that.
1080 on your 4K.
Yeah, and just like that, and that's fine because it's like my vision's all messed up anyway, and so it's not. I have a natural motion blur filter, so the idea that it's like we wanted to preserve this forever from Xbox's perspective, right? It's like we want to preserve parity between these two things forever. We're seeing now that was never going to happen forever for the lifetime of the console, that at some point it's going to be like we're going to have to start, people are going to come with new things for their games, new ideas for whatever, and we're going to have to start seeing drop off in what you can actually do. And then that becomes that feel bad of, well, I bought the S because I only have so much money and I wanted both of my kids to be able to play games together, and then Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out, but now they can't play both together at the same time on this, and they should have bought an X. And
it's the same game, of course. Like the you don't buy S versus X versions of the game.
Yeah, you just buy the game.
So you look at the back of the box and it'll be like split screen co-op asterisk.
Yeah. And
Xbox Series X only.
Yeah, and you have to now you're making that decision about like what's going to happen here.
Does Xbox do physical copies anymore? I thought the X and the S were both discless. I'm not sure because I don't really pay attention.
I'm not. I don't know either.
I thought at least one
the S does not.
Right.
But I guess because the second point though that I'm thinking
is that you wouldn't have to bother with that on like if it's just for the X.
That's true.
How many people out there are in this category of I was depending upon, it was a life or death thing that Baldur's Gate 3 on my Xbox Series S had to have split screen co-op in order for me to play it. If you slice it enough ways, how big is that cohort of people? Is it 15 people? Is it 150 people?
It's I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like it's probably not that big, not necessarily that big people, but there's a certain symbolism to it.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. No, I mean the reality of something versus the actual like what it represents.
I mean, so there's gonna be people who don't care because they're just either
or they're playing it by themselves.
Either they're playing it solo or they're playing co-op online. They're not
right.
Lots of people. The reason online co-op is particularly popular is because you don't need to have people physically in your house.
Yeah, like split screen co-op is kind of a niche feature anyway.
Yeah,
I'm glad it exists.
It's great.
But,
I'm someone who also would like split screen co-op, but
what you end up with is not just because what you're seeing here is there's no feature parity between this. That this is the start of at what point did you buy the cheaper thing and now you should have just bought the more expensive thing.
Yes, that's true.
The famous, or not famous, but the notorious example was...
That's the fear, right?
Yeah.
Remember, back in the day, there was the Spider-Man video game.
Right.
I think it was Spider-Man 2 video game that came out to coincide with the Spider-Man movie. Came out on PS2 and was great. It was one of the best games of the year. Everyone really liked it. Another game called Spider-Man and an official Spider-Man game came out on PC at the same time.
Right.
That was terrible. And it was
not the same game.
It was not the same game,
developer.
not the same developer or whatever. But
was it the same cover? No.
Well, it was very similar. Yeah, very similar looking. Anyway, so who knows if this will lead to other stuff down the road in terms of discrepancy between the two systems, but
likely won't for anything that's smaller, right? Like Baldur's Gate 3 is massive.
Yeah.
In terms of a lot of stuff that it's doing and probably a lot of horsepower it's using. So it's going to be, the wariness for this will be in the AAA space.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit like, the whole thing when, like, Cyberpunk came out, and they were like, oh, yeah, it totally works on the PS4, and it did not.
No,
and it was really, really bad.
Yeah. But I do wonder, like, I mean, the point I'm making, too, is it's like we can all see, like, we can all get a sense of, the schism has started. And that we know that this will lead to more things, but also the very just blunt reality of it is maybe this doesn't affect as many people as it could affect, and because of that, maybe this ends up being more of a mountain out of a molehill kind of situation where it's like this terrible thing has happened and it's like, well, I mean, yeah, symbolically we know that it's a terrible thing, but in reality maybe it's not going to affect that many people or be that bad a thing or that kind of and it's like, I guess I'm saying this is one of those things where it's like tempering your reaction or the way that you the way that we talk about it is maybe just as important.
I mean, I don't think it's worth screaming your head off.
Exactly,
about.
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone's actually doing that.
No, yes.
But if you put this situation in a bubble,
yeah.
But
If I
It's not that nothing's in a bubble. It's what could happen in the future.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? And maybe nothing, but maybe everything.
Yeah.
yeah, if I was heavily invested in a Series S, I'd be like,
Yeah.
not
You'd be a little worried, right?
not angry or dramatic, but just be sort of
I would be the most mad if it was a system that I had bought, that it was a game that I was looking forward to, and that I had intended when I heard about split screen co-op going to be a feature, that is a thing that I would want to do.
yeah.
I would be less mad if I didn't care about the split screen feature, but I'd be a little wary of what does that mean in the future, because this is a thing I bought that I was hoping to last the whole generation for Xbox. I've done neither of these things, so I ultimately don't have to care at all. But I can see why other people would care.
Well, if you did go for the Xbox Series S, don't worry. Your console is still more powerful than another console that is being released.
I thought we talked about the portal already.
The Atari 2600 re-release.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Another one of
alright,
those
okay.
TV game things where you plug in the HDMI. And
No,
you
no,
have
no.
10 games to choose from. You paid $100 for it.
No.
Oh, yeah?
This is $130.
Oh, good. It's even more expensive.
And it doesn't have any games on it.
Holy shit. Wow, they found a new way
It's
to
got-
fleece us.
It has a real cartridge slot.
Like the original Atari.
You put
Wait, are they
cartridges.
re-releasing all their cartridges, or do I have to go to a
They
store?
have released several cartridges. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is on Atari that people care about?
So,
That you can't
You're
get
about to
on
start me-
that I can't get on like another console because they've re-released it already. Like
well, okay, so, but here's the
nobody
thing.
cares about ET Shadowhawk.
Now the game, the console does include
Yeah.
a 10-in-1 cartridge
That's good.
that has Adventure, Combat, Missile Command, Haunted House, Yar's Revenge, and some other ones. So it does have not as many as you would get on one of those little things that plug into the TV.
No.
But you do get a few games to get you
Yeah,
going.
and if somebody
Okay.
comes up with a 50-in-1 cartridge, you can do that thing as well.
But haven't they done that already on like every other system?
Yes.
Yeah.
But this one kind of looks like an Atari, so it's like
I mean, kind of looks
Kind
like
of?
it is.
Is that not what it looked like?
That's the Atari 2600.
I mean, I know I didn't have one or was around. Who cares?
it's
But,
apparently about 2/3 the size.
Makes sense, yeah, because it does the cartridge
Oh.
looks huge. This is known as the 2600 Plus, by the way.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know you were around for the speech, but the cartridges used to be a lot bigger in the day, and now they're like this big.
No, they were the Atari cartridges actually were smaller than Nintendo cartridges.
Oh.
And what they ended up doing was when they released the Nintendo Entertainment System over here, is they took the Famicom cartridges, which were quite small, and they just made a huge case for them because they were like, if we just make a huge case, then it'll look impressive, it'll look big, it'll feel
Yeah,
like a
it
VHS
was about
cassette.
taking up floor space. So that
Yeah,
people
and
would
making
see
it
the
feel like,
product.
no, you're investing in a real thing here. So
And I was just reading this this article, and I mean, like the thing that we plug in, those little things that plug into the TVs.
yeah,
This is all. It's still just an emulator.
yeah, it still is an emulator.
Like you would think that you make something like this, and that actually has to take real cartridges.
Yeah,
You would do it right.
I would assume that.
But no.
Yeah,
Can it take an old cartridge?
yeah.
Yeah.
So then why do you need an emulator?
Well, the it doesn't have the actual guts of a 2600 inside it.
Yeah.
It's got a little Android, or it's got a little ARM.
Why do nostalgia
System
products
on
always
chip.
have to just have like the sticker of nostalgia
Well, they
and not
don't.
like the actual?
And not all of them do either. Like there was the C64 Mini, which I think was a joystick kind of TV game looking thing. I think it was this one. Was programmed by this woman who she found a way to basically recreate all the hardware on a flip pin grid array, an FPGA thing. So it's like she's emulating the hardware on some other hardware, but it's hardware based emulation as opposed to this is just a software emulator that we've installed onto a piece of hardware, so it does its best to kind of do whatever. And it's like that was the damn closest they could make to like a real field programmable gate array. That's what they're known as. It's the closest thing they could make to actual hardware, but without having to have all the individual chips. It's just re-implementing all those chips and and everything else. Like that's what your analog
Right.
pocket has. Is that same kind of thing. You install cores on it, and the FPGA that's on board is then hardware emulating everything by just pretending to be the actual hardware. So
Which is,
that's what I thought the Atari was.
Yeah, so the reason why you might want to do that is because there's all sorts of things that especially old consoles did that were wildly like out of spec. And so some games would be like, there's all the stuff that you can do that the sheet says you can do it. Then people figured out, hey, if I do this thing, if I put more wattage through this chip than it's supposed to have, I can get 5 more megahertz or whatever.
I can get a video effect I didn't get before,
But then those never work on emulators because the emulator is trying to follow the spec and make it exactly as it was. But it turns out that the actual hardware aspect of it is part of that too. As a side note, I was actually just reading a really interesting article a week or two ago about Another World, or Out of This World, aka Out of This World. Really fun game. I actually played it on like things on my stream way back in the day.
Right.
It's but the interesting thing about it is it's like a vector graphics based game, right? Where you everything was vector graphics drawn, and it was implemented in this totally bizarre way, or not bizarre, but it was implemented in this very interesting way where they basically made a virtual machine,
right,
and then ran the game on that virtual machine. And so the advantage to that is it made it so that
to port the game.
they could port the game to a ton, and it came out on tons and tons and tons of different systems and consoles and stuff.
Right.
Because all they had to do was, it's like if the console can send X number of screen refresh commands per second or whatever,
right,
it can do this. And all they have to do is make this emulator. So it's super neat. And and the article I was reading was somebody made an FPG using FPGA. They basically made a hardware version. So they basically made a chip that is
just another world.
That is the Another World chip that only, like, it's a hardware thing that only plays this one game.
That's cute.
It's like an old school arcade system would have been.
You brought up something important, Heather, that you said, what is for the Atari that is actually so important that you need to get these into the hands of people because they're so fun to play? And I'm going to say nothing. Maybe combat.
Yeah.
All right.
I think anything that was that was at all interesting from the 2600 has been re-released in something else,
or re-implemented as a newer type of game.
And I need to clarify because people always take like what I say at face value for some reason, and then they try to explain things to me that I know, even though I asked a question. Because I'm trying to get conversation going. I'm not saying that any of these games shouldn't be like archived or we shouldn't have them or anything like that. I don't know anything that came out for the Atari that I can think of because my brain will be like, I don't know, Pac-Man and or like Pong or like just something that's old, right?
Okay.
And yeah, I know those are wrong. I'm just saying that's like I don't know what came out for the Atari, but I do know that I've seen like stuff that comes out. It's like 50 Atari games in one, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so what is so important on the Atari that you would bring out the system that everyone would be like, oh yes, I want another system. It's just nostalgia,
right?
But that's just a shelf piece. You don't need it to work. Buy the Lego set.
Yeah. Like I don't think you're wrong. I think that especially.
I think if you had, I think maybe they could have saved a lot of money if they had done that. Because I feel like not a ton of people are going to want to buy this thing.
I'm sure there's like a few games that are good. Like I've seen people mention Pitfall, and I'm like, I didn't know that was an Atari thing. I always thought that was Sega for some reason.
It's a very
I'm sure there is like a couple of things. There's definitely people who are making fun who are being like, is ET even worth being whatever? It's like it's part of the gaming history. We can't just pretend that didn't exist. Even if they throw it all in the dump.
I think ET is a game that everybody should try. I think it is. If you play video games, I think you kind of owe it to yourself to at least just try playing it for 5 minutes, which is easy to do because you can download Stella, the emulator. You can find a ROM of it anywhere. It'll take you about like 1 kilobyte worth of downloading to try it out. I think it's interesting to see what it was like because it's like, this sucks, and it did. It sucked so bad. Like 5 years old, I played it, or 6 years old, I played it, and then also like this age, if I played it again, I'm like, I don't think I would be any better at the game.
There's a video game documentary on Netflix where they talk to the guy who programmed ET.
Yeah.
And how he did it in like
6 months.
No, it was like
6 weeks or something.
Yeah, it was like 6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks. I'm sorry. Yeah.
But he talks about like literally programming in his car while driving. Like just the story of it, if nothing else, is outrageous.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, archive.org has it up there, right? You can just go to archive.org. Account Made France posted it in the chat that you can actually just go play it on archive.org if you want to. I think it's interesting to try a couple of these old things. I never played Adventure. I think it's interesting. I think it would be interesting to play Adventure, and I should at some point sit down and do that. It was kind of the first, like, screen-based RPG, walking around trying to explore and do stuff. I don't think that I would sit there for an hour and try to play the whole game. No. Especially not without a walkthrough. But I'd be like, I think it's interesting to see, like, the proto formation of what people were trying to do with video games around that time and why these things are so, like, why Atari games are remembered and famous in some ways. Partially it's due to nostalgia, because I mean, like, I played a lot of this stuff back in the day, but that's not what I want to do. I don't want to go home and be like, time to break out my 170, because I have to pay Canadian, $170 Atari console and plug it into my thing and dig out my cartridges and plug them in so I can play Combat again. It's like, no. I think there's a diminishing amount of people who want to have that experience, and there'll be people out there who are like, yes, I will buy one of these things to put it on my shelf, or to have it so when my actual 2600 breaks, or I can put my actual 2600 away and I can have something else to play it on. There are those people out there. You've got your thing now. Congratulations. And when they sell 5,000 of these things and it otherwise crashes and they cost $20 after that, then whatever.
You can reformat the like system on chip and turn into a Super Nintendo.
Exactly, yeah. That's what they'll do, right?
I mean, if it's got an emulator thing on it, I'm assuming you could do modding to it.
Probably. It's just got a fairly regular system.
I just assume you can mod everything. I'd really love to see. I should go figure out where the modding community hangs out, because I'd love to see the stuff that they work on.
People will shove stuff on there to play like an SD card or whatever full of Coleco games, and they'll snicker to themselves at how funny it is they're playing Coleco games on a 2600.
Ha!
I would play Clax again. That's not an Atari game. I would play Clax again for like all of 5 to 10 minutes.
Sure, yeah.
Out of nostalgia for that.
I think there are games like that throughout history.
KLAX, because it's cool.
Yeah, I think there's games like that throughout the generations where it's like Super Mario Brothers is a game where it's like, if you have never played that, playing that for 5 minutes. If you're 19 years old and you're like, I've never played Super Mario Brothers ever, it's like you can find a copy of it just about everywhere, it seems. Play it for 5 minutes and be like, oh, I get it now. Interesting. Okay, not my jam. And of course it's not your jam. You grew up in the golden age of video games when they're way more fun.
Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft, a new challenger has entered the ring.
Wait, what?
Ubisoft.
Why? Are they buying part of it?
So,
wait, huh?
I've been trying to get my head around what is actually happening with this. But, okay, from what I gather, the idea here is that, they're still stopped, they're still being stymied by the UK authorities.
Sure.
Who are not happy with their cloud gaming thing.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Okay.
So
And then what happened?
So the new plan is that the newly proposed deal covers perpetual worldwide streaming rights for all current Activision games and those released in the next 15 years will be going to Ubisoft. Ubisoft will have exclusive control to those streaming rights outside of the European Union, allowing the company to make those games available on its own Ubisoft Plus service. And so there's no I haven't seen any explanation as to like it's like why Ubisoft? Like they weren't involved in this at all.
Yeah.
No, but at least it's not like some random streaming service in one country we've never that we're learning about for the first time.
Microsoft reaching out a frame and dragging in this cat with an Ubisoft logo, and like, give it to this thing, give it to this, give us Blizzard, and give the streaming rights to this thing, and it's like meow, like it's just freaking the fuck out, has no idea why it's there, and it's like meow, and it's like yeah, that's what's going on here. It doesn't make any sense.
So the other hilarious part about this is that so it's outside the European Union is where they're getting everywhere outside the European Union.
That's a lot of the other Earth. Yeah.
Yes. But why it has to be outside the European Union
is
Microsoft has already promised the European Union that they will license their they will do free licensing to their competing cloud gaming to people who are competing with them in the cloud gaming.
Oh, like Boosteroid.
Yeah, within the European Union.
I see.
There were a problem. So there's this stupid system is apparently happening where Microsoft is giving the license to Ubisoft. Microsoft is saying that they're going to have all the stuff for the Activision things.
Right.
But then Ubisoft, as well as having ownership of that, they can also sub-license it themselves. They will also be sub-licensing it back to Microsoft so that Microsoft can then in turn give it to the people in the European Union.
Oh my god. Oh my
This
god.
sounds like they had to they made a thing already as a promise that they were like, this will get us what we want, and it didn't. So they were like, okay, well, if we just do this other thing,
This is like
why
companies
does
owning
the
them.
story get weirder every time we look at it?
This is like a company being owned by its own subsidiary. Like,
Why is it just
I'm my
not
own
over
grandpa.
yet? Why do I feel like I'm just watching the slowest train wreck in the world?
Yeah. Well, $69 billion.
I'm
No,
having a hard time handling
I
this.
can't even give that a
Yeah. I guess
answer
it's
at this point. It's just so.
so like the only thing I guess with Ubisoft is like so Ubisoft like I guess they're like a theoretically uninvolved party that does have a cloud system.
That's true.
So I guess they were like the only.
Is Ubisoft, what was it, Ubisoft Plus? Is that a cloud system? I thought it was just you have to buy your games through our store.
Ubi Plus is like, or Uplay. I don't know if the Uplay thing is still a thing or not, but
no, I think Uplay's a different thing.
apparently though, Ubi Plus is part of, it uses Amazon technology. I think I saw that scroll by in chat. So it's like, so that's also Ubisoft's not doing all their own stuff. They're using another cloud-based system to host stuff.
Generally, you don't necessarily use your own things.
It doesn't matter.
when you're doing.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter where, what technology or whatever you're doing. It's ultimately they own the rights, they make the money.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I guess. Anyway,
I mean,
it seems just.
I've heard a lot of names of things
Yeah.
that anyone who wasn't already gonna want to buy in isn't gonna want to buy in anyway, because Ubisoft has its problems, Activision has its problems, Amazon has its problems.
I think that they should promise the UK that they will assign all streaming rights for the next 15 years or whatever for all future, current and future Activision Blizzard games. They should assign those in the Asia Pacific region, including Japan, to Nintendo for their cloud gaming service.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do one of those. They should give us their stuff.
No, I don't know.
I mean, I don't really want their stuff.
I don't barely have time to do the work that I already have, as far as I'm concerned.
I wouldn't do anything with it. I want people to give me things.
But I think they should do that. They should say, like, we'll divide it up so that then in that region that Nintendo has control over it in that region, and then like in Europe we'll give it to who's the most well known. Oh, Ubisoft is out of Paris, right? So we'll give it to them for that. And then like who's the big deal out of like Brazil? It's like I don't know who's a big. There's a big company in Brazil, I know that, and we'll let them have it for their fucking Sega Dreamcasts and stuff, and we'll let them do it down there. And that's what they should do. They should just be like, we're dividing it up everywhere.
You're right though. They should give it to Nintendo because eventually I'll find a back way in to take over Nintendo and get everything to be made the way I want it to be.
You'll have them.
And I'll have everything. If everybody just gives stuff there, it'll shortcut some of my future plans.
All right, cool. Done and done.
I could do this a lot
that's
faster
weird.
if I would just learn Japanese, but I just don't have the time.
I gotta read that article because that's just blowing my mind.
The Ubisoft thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but maybe there's like I feel like I need one of these Legal or one of these like YouTube YouTuber. I don't think he's been following this thing, but one of these like YouTuber like summary channels that people who actually like have done all the research.
Yeah.
Like, please explain to me what's happening.
Oh, somebody who's got.
Sorry if you thought we were that.
Actually, yeah, could we get like what is it? Ubisoft? No, Activision, Blizzard, King, Microsoft. The ending explained. I'd like one of those videos for this whole thing when it's over.
Mortal Kombat 1 is coming out.
Again? Oh wait, no, we've been through that. I've done this bit. No, ignore me.
Mortal Kombat 1, which is the newest Mortal Kombat game because they hate naming systems.
Just get rid of the number.
They did.
We don't need
They
numbers
did.
anymore.
They did one with no number.
Then why are you adding it back?
That
in?
was like
starting again.
That was like 3 games ago. They did one with no number.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get us to get rid of numbers for ages, and it's never happening. I have a vendetta, you see.
So they have this is actually a legitimately good feature that they're putting in.
Yeah.
Which is as an accessibility feature, they have a descriptive the game equivalent of descriptive video service.
Video description?
Yeah.
Audio description.
Audio description, and which is apparently very effective. The article that I was reading this in, the guy was saying like I found out that they do this after I got beaten like 5-1 by a blind player.
Wow.
But what the aspect of it that people have really gotten excited about is the descriptions of fatalities. So it describes what's happening in the game, and part of that is it has a full descriptive things of what happens in the fatalities. Now. Here, let me.
We've run into some trouble in the past.
I'm not going to. Yeah. As a warning, I will now play for you the audio description of a fatality. I will not show this fatality to you. Don't worry.
Okay, so you're not going to see it, but you are going to hear some gross things.
You hear some descriptions of some gross things. Let's see if this works.
Lee May punches through the victim's stomach and yanks out their guts. She clenches her fist and a purple spark of energy slithers along an intestine toward her victim. She kicks their head off and the spark explodes their severed head like a bloody firework.
Fatality. Lee May wins.
You know what? I feel like the description's more horrifying for some reason.
Do you feel like Do you feel like that gave you an accurate mental picture
that was
of what was
incredibly
going
accurate
on?
to what happened.
Okay.
I felt like I was listening to a novel. That was really good.
So, I think what makes this, because, I mean, very serious accessibility feature, yes. But let's be clear, what makes this so great is the very dispassionate reading.
Well, you would be.
Yeah, right? There's no editorializing, there's no sort of like, Lee May kicks her head off? And then like squeezes her guts and sends a purple spark, and then her head comes off. Oh my God! Explodes in a firework. Like, it's none of that. It's just like I'm just reading a thing.
Yeah.
You could just have the intestines know where they are because they know where they aren't. The intestines can do deviation, variation, and then they explode. Like it's.
But doing any of that would be completely against it being an accessibility feature. Then.
Well, what I'm saying is you could have the guy. The AI voice of the dude who does the missile knows where it is because it isn't meme. who that man I believe is probably long dead by this point, but his voice remains, and it's being used, it's being remixed into a whole bunch of new memes. I'm like, you could do that kind of thing where it's just famous voices reading these things. I get Morgan Freeman to come in and read some of these fatalities. Like, I'm loving this idea now. It's just a way to like because they're exploding so many more things in these games these days that I'm like, yeah, start burying that shit inside. I would love to have that happen.
Okay.
So, but there is this point, yeah, where there's the that this is entertaining for us.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about actual useful audio descriptive services, that's what they want. Like, you want it to be an actual, just
it's
like a
yeah.
description of
It
what's
needs to be
going
clear.
on.
You need
It's
to
like
be able to understand it.
captions, right? Like I've actually seen this where you have the whole point of having captions of a thing is so that you're saying exactly what is being said, not.
It's, I mean, I've sort of since we started doing go live notifications on Mastodon. You know, we'll put up the picture there, and Mastodon is very big on you putting in like the alt text for people who aren't able to see the picture, and I had to remember in my brain that this is not funny caption for this picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
This
all
is
text.
this is just a description
Yeah.
of what happened, what is in this picture.
And I know that and part of the alt text thing that's been described too is like, describe to a friend if they were sitting across the room from you, like, you have to see this photo. What's in it? Well, this and this and this is happening. You know, you can just do that. You can also, I've seen people add a little thing at the end to be like, oh, and it's very relaxing because the cat is very cute or something along that line. You know, you can kind of do a little editorializing if you want. But really, yeah, it's the accessibility is what's important, right? It's being able to let people be able to read the thing. I think a little editorializing there would be kind of funny too, but
Again,
if you go too
that's
far,
not-
then it feels like you're making
that's
fun of the
not-
feature.
That's not the point.
Yeah.
And also, it sounds funny.
Yeah. Because we're not used to it.
Well, because we're not used to it, but okay, remove the audio thing. Just because we saw the actual imagery that we decided not to show chat because it is grotesque.
It's quite a lot.
Even without that, isn't there a part of you that actually kind of finds just the over-the-topness of that funny?
Oh yeah, the description of it is actually, I mean...
Yeah, like without the description, what you visually saw is kind of just like, what the heck? Because you are watching this purple thing and do whatever. And then try to describe that accurately.
Yeah.
You're still going to find it funny.
Yes, that's true.
By the way, if you search for like Mortal Kombat fatality description or something, you should somebody has made like a compilation on like TikTok of a bunch of them, and they are excellent, very well done. So kudos to Mortal Kombat for doing that, which is in some ways it's sort of an expansion of the already like Mortal Kombat, like the fatalities in Mortal Kombat are already sort of at a certain sort of level of like goofiness.
Yeah.
And so it's just, in some ways, it just allows, people with visual impairments to enjoy that over-the-top goofiness that was there in the visuals.
Right.
Yeah. I think in some ways I don't really want to play Mortal Kombat. That's maybe too much gore for me. But there are certain movies that I've had to kind of cover my eyes on because they start to do things with eyeballs and things that I don't actually want to see, that I feel like maybe I should just find the descriptive text version so that I can still hear what's happening and know exactly what occurred. That might be too much.
As a project actually for one of my class when I was in the interactive the ITAS program at Information Technology and Applied Systems at up at Malaspina or Vancouver Island.
VIU now.
Yeah. We part of the thing is we had to do various sort of different mixed media things, and one of them was an audio thing. And what I did for that was an audio description of the what's it called, the lobby scene from the Matrix.
Oh, okay.
Where they just like go in and just destroy everything.
Right, yeah,
just shoot everything. So it's like he's shooting and then he does a flip and then
There's an Achewood series of Achewood comics. I don't know if anybody ever read Achewood or not, but Cornelius Bear, who is he's a bear and he's an old man and he's a very proper kind of old man, right? Wears a hat when he goes out, has a cane, is very polite to people, like that kind of idea.
Okay.
Doesn't brook any bullshit, that kind of idea. He decided that he wanted to have a pickup job of something to do at home, and so he decided that what he ended up on doing was writing audio description for the blind for pornographic movies, for the Spice Channel, back when there was, when people had porn on TV, right? So it's like, so that's what he would do, is he would write, but because of the way that he would write in a very flowery way. Like he would write like what sounds like romance novel descriptions of actual pornography, and which was very funny because obviously when you don't have funny to me because I can just watch pornography and I can see what's going on because I can see it.
Yeah.
But to think that it's like, right, actually, if you're writing audio description of that, of what's happening, and you're finding a way to make it compelling throughout the many minutes of stuff that is going on, and you're doing that, that seems really. Obviously, he's not reading it out loud. He's writing it so that I guess like a robotic voice can say it or whatever. But that idea of I'm going to give you a different view into the thing that is happening. And maybe that enhances the game, what's going on overall. So this is the same kind of thing where it's like, if you were blind or even just visually impaired or however we're going to break it down.
Blind generally covers people who just also can't quite see. Blind is
Fair.
not complete darkness like a lot of people think it is.
Fair. So it's like if you are playing this and if you're playing the game already, you've been playing you're playing Mortal Kombat for years, been getting very good at it. And you hear just like, you're like, okay, I can tell that it's, or I can kind of tell from what I'm, whatever. It's like, I do a fatality, and then you just hear, fatality, and that's all you hear. It's like, yeah, I guess that doesn't give you much of any sort of visceral enjoyment of like, what is the thing that I just did? And having somebody read out to you, this is the thing that you just did, that must be great. But also, because you can't see it this is a real tangent for me. Because you can't see it happening, does it matter if it's happening at all? Like, can you, because if you're already playing not able to see anything or only able to see whatever, like only only like a blurry whatever, or you can only see like a tiny little bit of what's happening on screen, does it matter that the thing has actually happened? Could the two characters just stand there and then it just literally just tells you what's happening? Or could it just like wipe to black and have somebody read what just happened over top of it? Like I'm wondering how much that is. I'm going in a lot of like many different directions. I'm wondering how much for people who have never had this before, how much are they enjoying it? I'd love to hear from the people who are like, now that I have this, man, this is great because now I can really understand what's happening. And yeah, having it audibly in my ear telling me what's going on really heightens my enjoyment, really gets me more hyped up to play the game, like that kind of thing.
All right. If you're in the YouTube comments, because I'm assuming if you already can answer this question and you're in the chat, you're doing it. And
if you found the way out of my spiral,
have a visual impairment, so you do use these features. Beej would like to know if this enhances your gameplay.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty accurate.
How much has it enhanced your gameplay? Like, how much have you enjoyed having this kind of thing?
I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, I think that is where I was trying to go with that. Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
It
took me a while to get there.
I mean, sometimes I know, especially feel like you need to say everything you're thinking about to help you process.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to follow your brain.
I know. Yeah.
But I think that's what you were.
This was one of those things, but yeah, I think you captured it. Thank you.
Speaking of fighting games,
There's another one?
Dragon Ball Fighter Z is
Okay.
game come out a little while ago.
And it was just a game trial on the Switch, actually, too.
Oh,
for
was
like
it?
3
Oh,
days.
okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
From Bandai Namco. Anyway, a game balance patch just came out for it, which is, not that necessarily uncommon. The reason why I marked this as a story is kind of what it made me think about, which was, and if you look at, here, let me pop up the patch note. There's like 15 pages of patch notes.
Wow.
It's a
very
table.
thorough.
Yeah.
Wow.
But something
Used
that
to
I
Nintendo patch notes. System stability.
Yeah.
something that I noticed with this, well, fighting games are usually always pretty heavy on the patch notes.
That's true. Or because if you're not, then all your players are going to go find them anyway.
So something I noticed about this is, reduced delay, increased block stun, sped up, increased stun time, almost everything seems to be increased.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was thinking about this, that
Increased stun time, decreased delay.
I love this, and I don't think this is something that they're intentionally doing, but Dragon Ball. It's all about
Power creep.
it's all about the power creep, right?
Yeah.
The guys are training and everything. I love this idea that you make a fighting game, and it's like theoretically, if you're doing if you are balancing,
Yeah.
you can if you make everybody else more powerful, that's the same as making somebody less powerful.
Right.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
For most things. So I love this idea that if you put out a game and you deliberately make every balance patch only increase all the stats.
Yes.
And so it's like if you need to debuff somebody, you just increase everybody else as if they're just training.
Yeah, just getting better and better. And what's interesting is all of the things is like, okay, so we're seeing sped up the startup of the grounded version of the attack. So sped up, increased, right? Adjusted knockback on hit. And I'm like,
Now,
adjusted.
Now, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, or in these patch notes, are they deliberately saying adjusted when they mean reduce?
Yeah.
Because they don't want to. They think
They
people
might not,
will react
they might
badly.
not be reducing anything, though. They might be like...
It might be more
There
like
might be like other tweaks that they're making.
not
that
just like the
don't-
number is changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are reductions, like reduced hit stop when the attack is guarded, which I guess means that you're going to like move faster, or
Yeah, but, like,
reducing delay,
Decreased delay
Yeah.
is...
speeding the game up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's
Anyway,
funny.
I found that idea funny that like. Yeah, you just so that like the idea that this game is however many after the game is like 5 years old, the characters are just actually like within the context of the game. Even the characters they've all increased in power.
Yeah.
Together. So theoretically, the balance is about the same as it was. Just everybody's like "Rah!" more
I
powerful.
wonder if they gave everybody more hit points as
Maybe
well.
all their
Just-
power armor came off.
Yeah.
Oh man. Added invincibility partway through the motion. Wow.
Anyway, I don't know anything about this game, so it's entirely possible that I'm incorrect. That just made me laugh.
The only thing that I know about Dragon Ball is that Frieza was based on the people that Akira Toriyama hated the most. Was it Frieza? I think so. The people that Akira Toriyama hated the most, real estate speculators. I don't know what that means in terms of the story, but there you go.
He once got
Alright.
into a big fight with a real estate.
Yes.
I mean, I preferred the filler episodes where like Goku tries to get his driver's license for no reason
Yeah.
and realizes he doesn't actually need it.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
The one where
was-
Vegeta wears a pink shirt, I like that.
Yeah, those were more fun to me than the rest of it.
So I don't know anything about Dragon Ball Z, but this story is about there's a remaster coming out for Dark Forces, which is a game that I actually have very fond memories of playing.
That's good.
Okay.
I played this a ton when I was a kid. This is the original. Oh, I don't know if it's the original, but one of the very early Star Wars first-person shooter style games
Yeah, I
What'd
think
you
it
come
might
out
be.
for?
I think it might be the first
What'd you
one.
play it on?
on my Mac. I think it was using like the Doom engine or like the Quake engine or
Okay,
something.
all right.
And this is also the start of the it was Dark Forces, and then Dark Forces 2,
Jedi Knight.
Jedi Knight, and then Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast,
okay,
and then
okay.
Jedi
Jedi
Knight
Outcast
Outcast 2.
2.
They had a weird naming system.
Yeah.
Oh, it was its own engine? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Anyway, it was a super cool game, but it's a very old game, you know.
Yeah.
That happens after a while.
And so there's a remaster coming out for it. And as somebody who was a big fan of it,
Oh no.
I like
What did they wreck, Paul?
though they didn't it's not that they like changed too much and wrecked it. Or I don't know if there's sound useful. But...
Well, you have the YouTube muted.
Oh, I do.
It
There's
will
no
not-
sound.
There is no sound.
I'll turn it up a little bit maybe.
Oh my God.
So this is the
That's
original,
original,
and
yeah.
they're like, hey, look, it's all spring. So
It's all 4K now.
I think they didn't sort of do. I think they should have actually like redone. Like when it gets into the gameplay, you'll see, like
Oh wow.
they redid the like they made it higher resolution,
But they kept all the sprite
but they
base.
kept all the the textures and stuff,
I love it.
which is like funny, but I think like actually remaking the game in you know.
I mean,
like actually making the game, the same map
Right.
and the same enemy placement and everything, but like make it look good.
Yeah.
Would be more interesting to me than let's preserve the like it wasn't it's not like the world that existed in this was supposed to look like this. They just
No.
couldn't render it any better.
Exactly.
right.
Oh, this is amazing.
I mean, you could do that thing they do in like, was it Dragon Quest? You can go back and forth from the 2D to the 3D.
Right, or yeah,
So
or for
maybe,
the
like, the
old
two
version and the new
different art
version.
styles?
Yeah.
Would be neat. That's like clearly a lot more work, but
God, I am. I'm trying to wrap my head around.
kind of like the way it looks this way.
Because it's
though.
like it looks just like how you remember. Yeah, it does. You
Yeah.
didn't fix anything. It's like, no, we didn't. That was the point. It's just cleaned up.
Yeah, so it'd be like enhanced as opposed to a remake, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I mean that's how you like, when you get into like the fact that a game calls itself a remaster. What does it mean? Because there's a variety of things like that actually means these days.
It's like back in the day, sometimes you used to, like on consoles and things, like you used to be able to like sometimes play like a PlayStation 1 game. You could put it into a PS2 and it would just render it at a higher, like all the,
Oh yeah.
all
yeah,
the-
yeah. All
except-
the 3D stuff it could render at like
at
it's all
like
vectors.
higher resolution.
Yeah.
But all the textures would look like butt.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Funny thing. Well, and Maricat says this isn't a remaster. This is the enhanced version, right? And it's like right because Baldur's Gate had that too, right? Where they remade that, but it's all like everything still looks like low sprite.
They're calling it remaster.
and they're calling it
which is annoying.
remaster.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like that's literally in the name. and it's like-
Unfortunately, we don't have like we don't have solid
Yeah.
definitions.
Well, even if we do, we can't stop them from naming their games however they want, as we previously
Yeah.
demonstrated by
Legally.
Dark Forces, Jedi Knight, whatever thing you had going on.
we need to have like, you know how there it's like for like food labeling. There's certain words that are like, this is the like FDA certified
Yeah.
word for this.
you can say pasteurized processed cheese product, and that's okay. That's still
It's
technically
like
cheese.
Yeah. So, but it's like, we need that for. It's like. Yeah, it's like when it says remaster, it means XYZ.
Yeah.
When it says, it's like, you can call the game whatever you want, but if
Yeah.
you have the word remaster on it, that means something.
We need like some sort of like like electronic software or entertainment software association or something like that to kind of make a decision about what these things could be called. Yeah.
If only we had one of those.
Can't we just like the FDA approve things in the video game space?
Why not? Sure.
I can't be any worse.
Yeah. Speaking of things that could be worse.
Great.
We mentioned this. This came up.
dare you.
This came up as a story a few weeks, maybe months ago, when it was first announced. But now it is available in Nintendo's official dev portal for anybody to use Denuvo's Switch emulation protection.
Don't. Never.
I'm
So
not even excited.
They put no in their name. It's spelled N-U, but it says no. De-novo. No.
yeah. So I mean, okay. So there's the two parts of this, which is that obviously the big concern or the big thing that everyone is Denuvo is a well-known copyright protection system. Quite effective.
Yeah.
They've got a niche for themselves as being actually fairly effective in a lot of cases.
Yeah, wrecking your experience.
But the cost of that being quite effective is has been known to cause some serious performance issues.
Yeah.
There's a lot of argument back and forth as to the extent of the performance issues. Denuvo says that there are none or they're very minor. Lots of other people say there are a lot.
Yeah.
And then the various companies that have used Denuvo systems for their copyright protection, often after a couple months, remove their copyright protection.
Yeah.
And everyone is like, oh, hey, I got 15% better frame rate.
Yeah, how about that?
Well, that's weird. I wonder how that happened.
And it leads to people being to basically saying that, look, we don't want this. We know that it's bad. That it's having a terrible effect on my system because I bought the goddamn game. Why am I the one who has to suffer for the fact that it has this anti-piracy stuff built into it?
And
I did the thing properly.
And there's like online checks and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's quite unpleasant. Now, and so everyone is like, the Switch is not the most powerful system at the best of times.
No.
It can't. The idea that it's going to have this extra boat anchor sitting on it when it needs all its frames, is very concerning. Now, to be fair, this is not the system, the Denuvo that is on, PC games and stuff. This is a
new thing.
This is a special thing for blocking Switch emulation. So the performance characteristics of this are likely to be very different from what thing. The name Denuvo had people kind of clench up on it. I'm not saying it's good. It probably isn't. I think there's probably a reasonably good chance that it won't have a big performance penalty. But just the sort of idea of it, the idea, I find it very hard to believe that that Switch emulation is like, obviously it happens.
Yeah.
But like video game piracy or video game emulation for piracy is in comparison to, say, like the number of people who bought, Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes.
The number of people who, if we look back at, very early easy piracy, the number of people who bought, Link to the Past versus the number of people who emulated it.
Yeah.
Like, there aren't even that many people. And that's Super Nintendo, which is very easy to emulate these days.
Yeah.
If we're talking about, like, a Switch emulation is not that easy. It requires a quite powerful computer.
Usually there's a lot of problems with emulating any of the modern games.
Yeah, it requires a very powerful computer to do. There's a lot of weird hoops you have to jump through. You have to, obviously the game itself is going to be multiple gigabytes.
Yep.
If it's on something from the Switch, it's not that easy to find. Nintendo's been cutting down things. I can't believe that there are so many people who are doing that it's causing a real impact on people's bottom line.
Well, and it makes
I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen the stats on it.
It makes me think that the proof will be in the pudding if people start to take apart first-party games, and like Nintendo coded games, and be like, we're gonna try to make these run on our emulators, and they start running into this because if Nintendo internally, like for all of the games they've made themselves, if they start putting it on if they put it on Super Mario Brothers Wonder, then we'll know. We'll know whether or not they're like, this is a thing we believe in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. The whole story is that this is available on the the dev portal, right?
Yeah.
So this is just this piece of software is available for anyone who wants to put a game onto Switch. It's not necessarily anyone's going to do it.
No.
Someone must want to do it, or
But I guess it
they
means
expect people will want to do it if they're going to put it out there.
And I guess it means it's gone through some sort of
It would have had to
authentication
have gone
system.
through some sort of
some sort of
thing.
check in order to be on the dev portal, I guess.
So there could be a couple things at play here too, right? There could be a thing where companies, third-party publishers, whomever, may have said to Nintendo, it's like, hey, look, you don't provide any protection against piracy because you make the assumption that everyone's just going to buy the game and play it on the device, but you don't have any actual built-in protections against privacy other than just like so people can run this on the PC, right? Even Tears of the Kingdom is running on people's PCs. So you don't provide anything built into the games to prevent that, but in order for us to convince our shareholders that we should be making stuff, that kind of horse shit, right? They have to tell the people who have the money, whatever. In order to convince somebody that has to be convinced that we can put stuff on your system, then you have to add some sort of like rootkit. Or something that can scan the game, or whatever, to make sure it doesn't run on an emulated thing. And so Nintendo might just be like, we've had some publishers ask about this, because the other thing that could be going on here is Nintendo sells 50 million copies of Tears of the Kingdom, and 1 million people around the world are playing an emulated version of it. I don't think they care that much about that happening. They'd be like, it bugs me a lot that 1 in 50 people that might be playing the game might have actually pirated the game, let's pretend. But it's like, we did sell 50 million copies of it, so that's like, we need to do something about cracking down on this, but we don't think that installing emulation protection or whatever into our games is worth it. We'll find other ways to make this work, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, that's not going to be a conversation you'll ever see generally publicly, because it tells people whether or not your stuff's easy to pirate.
But if you're a third party and you sold 3 million copies of a game onto the Switch, and 1 million of those got pirated for whatever reason by the same people who pirate other games, they're like, I want to play this Switch game, so I'm gonna pirate this too. And it's like, so the 1 million people who are out there who are doing it, you're like, you only sold 3 million copies. You'd be like, I have a much more vested interest in making sure that people can't pirate my game because I want them to just get it from here.
I have a question for you.
Yeah. It could be proportional.
Let's say 3 million people bought your game.
Yeah.
You personally, Beach Theory.
Yeah.
And 1 million people pirated it.
Yeah.
How do you know 1 million people pirated your game?
I would have the emulator would be providing talkback to me to let me know that it's like, where are all these coming from? And I'd be seeing way more of the game being played in places through like analytics and stuff. That would be a way to figure that out.
Why would that emulator give you that info?
If the emulator is supposed to, do everything that the game itself is doing. If it's an emulator
on a PC, it's a third-party emulator, something someone else made.
Yeah.
Why is that emulator giving you any info? How do you know 1 million people?
I mean, I guess if
it's
a game that has like an online component, I guess
it has to talk back to my server or something like that to be like, here's a thing, and like, thank you. Now I know that you've done a thing.
Okay, so, sure. Yeah. I just don't know how.
I don't know how it would work either.
Happen.
But it's clearly there's. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of these numbers are also. Like the numbers I'm saying are as much bullshit as a lot of times what a lot of developers will say that they've been having happen to them. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can see. De novo to me always seems like, especially now, has seemed to become more of a buzzword. Like it is one of those things where it's like, oh, shareholders are. Because I don't know if any of this is true. This is just like what my brain says. Shareholders are very old people who don't understand how computers work, but they're trying to make money out of everything.
Yeah.
And so they're mean and they're crabby and they're angry at the idea that anyone is doing anything, regardless of like why they're doing it.
Right.
And all they know is they didn't make an extra like whatever amount of money.
Yeah.
And so someone comes up to them and says, don't worry, we got de novo. And you've heard that word 1 million times now, so you know that that's the thing that'll stop people from doing that, which will definitely translate to those people buying your product.
Yeah, because it'll be like, number goes up. That's what they mean.
I think there is.
Like that's how I view that. I don't even know if that's true.
I think there is a certain thing of like, people just have this visceral reaction to what, you're getting the thing and you're not paying for it. we have just put a stop to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Regardless of whether, without doing the sort of calculus of like, what is it actually harming us?
Yeah.
But anyway, I'd be actually very curious, of course, because it's, it's a DRM thing. They don't actually say how they're stopping emulation protection.
Right.
Or how they're stopping it from being emulated, but it won't be. But that it's fine on the Switch, which is, I'm curious if this is actually used in any games, and if and when they are broken and emulated, I'd be very curious to read like a write up of what they actually did to try to stop it.
Right.
Because presumably a Switch emulator is going to be pretending to be a Switch very well.
Absolutely.
So what is the thing that they're able to figure out that a Switch can do that a
And I'm
emulated
assuming
Switch won't?
this is mostly going to hit emulation for Switch on PC.
I'm assuming so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you can emulate on launch day Switches, but I don't know if that comes across the same or not.
Oh, so you're like talking about
Because you can
like
hack it.
That's like and that's straight up like that's straight up piracy on the device itself to be like I just want to install ROMs and just run.
Right. That'd be a little
games I
bit
have-
different thing. Yeah.
That's a little different, but it's not that different. You're right because it is the actual
mean-
hardware. Yeah.
I have opinions about piracy that not everyone will agree with, but I do think that putting out a product that hurts things, that even stops things, especially when it's negligible,
Yeah.
is bad in other ways. Mostly because if I ever really wanted to, I wanted to play Breath of the Wild again, I would definitely find a pirated copy of the game I already bought so that I could modify it to have. I've seen linkhole mods.
Ah, yes.
Oh yeah. There's some great, cool mod things.
I guess we now just wait and see. It's like who's gonna be the first to bite, and then how's it gonna end up? Do people be like, holy shit, this game runs like ass on my Switch? Let's see.
I mean,
what
people
happens.
do that. People, I know there are people who buy the game and then they run it on PC because they want it to run at whatever consistency. I know there are people who just do that, and whatever. It's not what I'm doing. I'm doing different things.
You know whose anniversary it is?
Polly Pocket.
No, it is world famous Rabbit.
Oh, the stream just had a fuck up. Yeah,
It
we just went unstable. People are having a bit of a trouble.
that has to be on Twitch's end.
Yeah, we've dropped no frames. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, we're back. Okay.
it'll
And
be
we're
fine.
back.
It'll be fine during recording.
So everyone missed your opinion.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's not an opinion. It's just I don't even know what I said.
I know, right? It's weird.
Oh wait, I definitely replay Breath of the Wild as Linkle.
Yes.
There.
There.
Is it that one? Is that the?
Yeah, you would
I
definitely-
like the character Linkle.
Yeah.
Such controversy.
I mean, there are people who really hate her.
And you can like pray. You can
She's
save.
so cool in Hyrule Warriors. She has 2 crossbows, and she like what makes no sense, but she puts new things in them with her boots.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She doesn't. That doesn't make any sense, but it's cool.
Yeah.
It's like first person shooters always have that thing with the when you have like dual shotguns and they go like spin it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The lever reloads. Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh no, I love her.
what happened there?
Yeah.
Don't think about it too much.
Right. So guess whose 30th anniversary it is?
Polly
Yes.
Pocket.
World famous rabbit, Sonic the Hedgehog rabbit.
Oh, old Needle Nose.
Somehow Lego got involved.
That's right, because Sonic Superstars, which is coming out in October, is going to have a digital deluxe edition.
Because of course it is.
A digital deluxe edition featuring Lego, in
Registered
fact.
trademark.
Sonic Superstars is the one that they showed off recently where it's the 2D, but everything's got like the more 3D sprites.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all the original games that you've already played or that you looked at and said, I'm not playing this bullshit. And now it's all pretty.
So
good games.
the Lego part is apparently you get Lego versions of characters,
I think that's
but you
neat.
also get a skin for Sonic
No,
of the rabbit
I refuse.
that was apparently the original prototype for
Nope.
Sonic.
I hate it. I hate it with every part of my
Look at
being.
that! Look at his attitude.
No.
Don't you just want to be like, man? That's the
I
'90s.
don't want this Mickey
That's-
rip-off mother.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's just what Oswald. Yeah.
Every character starts as a rabbit and then turns into something that everyone can make money off of. Let's just be honest.
He's got the Pac-Man eyes.
Is this what he
Yeah.
looks like underneath if I take...
He tore off all the quills.
I tore off his skin?
I also love the way the description here. It's like Lego Fun Pack, exclusive mech parts, digital art book, bonus menu, main menu wallpapers, rabbit skin.
Rabbit skin. We used to make glue out of that shit.
Not. It's like it's digital, right?
Yeah.
He's so gray.
Yeah. Well, it's back when the Sega Genesis couldn't actually render colors properly.
Was blue inaccessible?
He's kind of blue.
He's not blue. That is gray.
One of those things where they did the original prototypes with the rabbit, and everyone, but these old games, it's like so low res. Everyone's like, "What is that? A hedgehog?"
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, sure."
Yeah. Is that better? Is that? Hang on. Hedgehog? Question mark? Question mark? Question mark.
Anyway.
Yeah. So
Old
now
needle
you can enjoy playing as this prototype version of Sonic in the Sonic game.
There's also I didn't mark it as a story, but
I'm
there's
gonna
also
unfriend every single person who plays as that character. I'm gonna find you and unfriend you.
even if you aren't currently friends with them,
Add as a friend.
you're gonna add them so you can unfriend them.
Nope. They don't even get that. At that point, they get blocked.
The there's another piece of Sonic news that came out, which was there's a new Lego evil egg Lego set.
Oh, okay.
Is pretty awesome looking too. They're just giant, but there's been a lot of the Sega folks have really been I guess with the movies and stuff being so popular, they're like, everyone likes Sonic again.
Yeah.
Go, go, go!
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to do something to celebrate their 30th anniversary, and I mean, it's just making a lot of tad. So
I don't know why they haven't made some sort of Lego set of the 7 Chaos Emeralds with you build each one, but inside is maybe a little diorama of something really cool, like you would get in a Polly Pocket, but it all sits on a display case that you could just put out.
So I think it
sounds
would
pretty
be
sweet.
more interesting if the Sonic characters that you get, the actual Lego Sonic characters, the stuff I can touch in real life and crush with my hands, and step on and get hurt, if they would work with the Super Mario set so that you could have Mario registered trademark and Sonic registered trademark at the Lego registered trademark Olympics registered trademark. I think that's what we're waiting for.
Well, because there's the thing with the Mario stuff has all the electronic
The
interaction
little
stuff.
chips in the
yeah.
Where,
sounds and stuff.
There was the thing with for at one point Mario was like, "Where's Luigi?"
Yeah, where's Luigi?
Which is kind of weird and disturbing.
I mean, that was creepy for a lot of reasons.
But yeah, then you put him there, and he's like, "What's this guy doing here?"
Who's the blue guy?
Get him out of here!
Give him a hat. Put S on it. There we go. Now he's a plumber like me.
Is that what Mario needs? He needs everyone to wear hats with their name tags.
So he can remember, right? So it's he can tell the difference. I love
Is
the
that why
idea.
you can't tell the difference between Peach and Daisy?
The reason why they can't tell the difference is because both Mario and Luigi are colorblind, and they both think that they're wearing the identical colored outfits. They have red-green color blindness.
No, I can't make fun of anything.
I know it's
Speaking of which, Charles Martinet said that he's retiring.
consider this my audition.
He's well, they already have a
Yeah, they got
Mario, but
they probably have a dozen
they,
people picked out who can do it.
Well, because I believe the voice clips for Mario Wonder are not him.
Yeah.
So they've
Yeah.
already had someone for a bit. He's taking a step back as so he's not doing voice work. But he's going to be a Nintendo ambassador or something is what they
nice.
said, which I would interpret as I'm not doing the voice anymore, but I'm still part of advertising.
Yeah. He's beloved in a way that like Reggie Fils-Aime was beloved in a way to Nintendo, right? Where it's like he's a thing that people look at and they're like, oh, you are fun and we like you because we know what you represent and that kind of
Sure.
thing. Yeah.
And there's nothing against that. I'm just saying, like, when someone says, oh, but I get to, like, be an ambassador for the brand, that just means I'm doing PR. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, that means I'll probably, maybe we'll be at an event, maybe I'll be on the live stream of whatever. Maybe he gets a throwaway line here or there.
Yeah, do the voice.
Because he also did Luigi, I think.
Yeah. And
a couple of the other characters, but everyone knows him as Mario.
Yeah.
Apparently the voice was getting pretty hard on his voice to do.
And that's completely fair.
If you like Charles Martinet, you should play Runner 3 because he's the narrator.
Oh, really?
And it's a fun story.
Nice. Anyway, that's all the news they want to do. Like I said, it was Gamescom, and there's tons of news about, games being released and stuff that, if you're interested in that kind of thing, you might want to check out. But it wasn't, funny.
Gamescom was not funny, but you can check it out if you want. We weren't there, so derive whatever value of that you wish.
We got a thing that was like, do you want to co-stream the Gamescom
opening night?
The one that they've explicitly said there won't be anything new announced.
Yeah.
It'll only be more info on things that they've already talked about.
And we said,
we were like,
no, we will let James continue to play Mine O'Clock.
Yeah. It's like, we would, but some people are collecting all the stuff in Minecraft. So,
you know what? In retrospect, it would have been funny if we said to James, it's like, have this co-stream the stream, but co-stream it in a tiny window so that when stuff happens when you're playing Minecraft, you can be like, oh, that was something neat about Alan Wake 2. Right, okay, let's
the
keep
only
going.
problem with that is because some of those videos get hit on YouTube in terms of actually blocking the video, then we're potentially endangering a thing people actually want to see. And I don't want to do that.
That's fair.
I care about our YouTube audience.
I mean, if we're officially co-streaming though, then we should be given the.
That doesn't change a lot of things.
Ooh. Anyway.
You'd be surprised.
Anyway.
YouTube and Twitch are different.
Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us and hanging out, talking about all the video game silliness. And we will talk to all y'all later.
See you, Pat.
Hit up the Patreon.
Oh yeah, do that too. Patreon and the store and all that good stuff. Bye.
Bye.